Okay, now we're going to do the last two problems on solving inequalities. First, I want to talk a little bit about Alan Turing. This is something I want you to read all of it, and I want you to know this is an important little box. But he played a big role in World War II, and as well as the invention of computers, our modern day computers. So he developed what's now called the Turing machine, which was basically a mini digital computer, like before digital computers were around. And he played a huge role in World War II by deciphering German codes, which ultimately led to the Allies' victory. And he did do a lot of work on artificial intelligence and other computer models. What's interesting about Turing is that he was killed by poison in an apple with cyanide. And there's a movie out about him called Imitation Game. Some of you might have seen. I don't think I can actually recommend it. I haven't seen it, but it's about Turing's life, so you might be kind of familiar with that story. And the apple poisoning, that's where we get the name of the Apple computer. When they named the Apple company, they realized what a huge role Turing played in the development of computers, and so they named their company after what killed him. Okay, let's look at these two inequalities. So we have this inequality, and you can do the same thing we did earlier where we graph this one and then graph this one separately. But honestly, it's probably easier just to move it all over to one side. I'm going to subtract my 2.0 over, and I'm going to subtract my negative 1.4x. And you can combine like terms. That's great to simplify it, but really it's kind of just a waste of time. Since we're using the calculator, we can just type it all in. So I typed it all in, and I'm going to graph it. And when I moved it all over, right, I got something like 3.7x squared, all of this, minus 2 plus 1.4x is less than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to y. We were plugging in for y. So if I wanted to flip that around, it's y is greater than or equal to 3.7x squared, And so I'm looking for the values that are greater than this parabola. And so here you can imagine probably what's greater than. You can test points like you know how to before. But graphing calculators help you out a lot. So this will be different depending on which model you have. But if you have an 83 or an 84, you can go over here to the left. And if I want something that's greater than, and I have a line like this, it's going to be everything right here. So we're going to look for the symbol that looks like this. That's the greater than because it's shaded above. If I wanted less than, I would shade below. And so I'm going to click enter, and there are several different options. That's my greater than. You'll see similarly is the less than. And so now I can graph this, and that shows me exactly, it kind of highlights that for you, is that's the greater than part. Again, you could have tested points, but this is just the easy way. If you have, I believe, a color or maybe an inspire, you're going to come here and press enter, and it will give you some different options. But you can do the exact same thing with that. And so here, I know all of these are my options, but we would give that answer normally in the range of x's. And so what you would do is you would come find the intersection here, like we talked about before, and the intersection here, and you would say, you know, it can be any of these, but that doesn't account for everything. So in this parabola case, we would say, okay, yeah, it's any y's greater than this point. Normally when you're solving graphically, you're just going to have to sketch them, but you can kind of find this point here and say, okay, it is anything higher than that on the y value. Now, let's do our last one. Again, I would move it all to one side and type it in, and I'm going to do that now. You do the same, and then we'll check. Okay, so I moved everything to one side so that I had something like this, or than or equal to y. So I'm wanting my little's pointing to my y, everything less than this. And so I'm going to come here and say, hey, less than, and I typed it in, and I graphed it, and it gives me less than, and you can see it's kind of a roller coaster ride that a cubic function makes. I don't have a good view up here, so I'm going to zoom out. And I kind of have a better view. Still, it looks like it's going to go up a whole lot. We can zoom out a little bit more, and you can kind of adjust that window to help you see as needed. And it looks like we're going to have to keep going. So not very helpful. You can adjust it a little bit more, but either way, you can see what your options were, kind of where you're looking at there, and that's what we want to be less than y. Now you have 11 problems for homework. Take care of those tonight, and then bring that tomorrow.